And we are live.
Yes.
Okay.
So, last episode was a wee bit embarrassing.
I don't think so. Come on.
Well, it was embarrassing insofar that it turned out that none of us really knew Hiccup.
Oh, I see. Yeah. That in that sense, yeah. Okay.
Yes. The fact
I
that
didn't.
we tried
I
something
don't.
out,
Yeah. Exactly. I don't think the fact that we tried something out was particularly embarrassing. Even if it
no.
ended in failure. That's. I think we. The whole point about this experiment is to do experiments that are fairly low stakes, and But yeah, I mean, yeah, not knowing the fact that Hiccup was, what should we say, relaxed with nils and stuff like this, and we didn't have to work so hard. Was
No.
I mean, it's a point in favour of the Hiccup design, actually, isn't it?
Yes. So James done all the hard work for us.
Yeah, which is Thank you, James.
Yes.
I'll see you at Reclosure next week. Okay, I'll shake your hand then.
You can buy him a beverage from me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Of his choosing.
Okay, dokie.
Um, Yeah, and the other thing I think we sort of, if we analyze a little bit, and this is I'm winging this one, but I think we did a top down rather than a bottom up.
Yes.
So we didn't sort of we started with one gigantic piece of knitted castle rather than starting with Lego blocks to build our little Lego castle.
Yeah. I think I think it's because we had this discussion the last week where we had a glint in our eyes that maybe we could like round trip all of this and automate more of it than we could.
Mm.
So I think we had a knitted castle in mind, or whatever. Yeah, I think obviously in the follow up we've decided that Lego bricks are better.
Yes. So I guess what I wanted to do today was so we're looking here at the upload form and we have it here on the side.
Hmm. Can I just
And
interject for 1 second, by the way, in terms of
yes,
review?
yeah.
Was that I think what was interesting about the discussion last week was this idea of like how many DSLs are you going to have, and I think that in the end was a pivotal moment for us, and I think that's an interesting lesson to learn. I think in general, is
Yeah.
because I feel like the whole point about closure is that objects are a kind of DSL, and ridding yourself of having to make a DSL for every object is a freeing thing,
Hmm.
and essentially not putting other DSLs in place is also actually quite freeing. But on the other hand, you do want to build some functions and compose some things so that your life becomes more tolerable. So it's a fine line, I think, between just having everything as like absolute fundamental building blocks and finding that little abstraction that makes your life more pleasurable.
Yeah. Should we start?
Yes, you
Yes.
may
So
continue.
my plan here was to make a little function that renders the input thing.
Right.
Because right now we done it with a yeah, it's a bit of repetition and we done it with a div rather than with a label, which is more HTML-y and also
More accessible.
accessible.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is
Yeah, it's something we should definitely go for because it's fairly cheap to make it accessible.
exactly. And I was just going to get to that in terms of stuff we do at work.
Hmm.
We've we had this uh I didn't do all of it, but we had this most infuriating or frustrating session where on a Mac you can turn on the screen reader, right?
Right.
And then we had to navigate our app with blindfolds.
Hmm. Hmm.
And no,
Didn't work.
no.
It's a
But
very
then
complicated app, though, yours, isn't it?
it is, but I think there's something to be said that a complicated UI isn't easier to navigate blindfolded.
Sure, sure.
So if you manage to make your app and your UI sort of accessible and that you can, you know, tab yourself around and things come in logical orders and stuff, then it actually makes for a better UI both for those of us who see and those of us who don't see. So
Mm. Yeah.
putting a
Okay.
little bit of
Cool.
effort into actually making it screen readable is cool.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's always difficult to completely put yourself in that other person's situation, but I think you're right to if we can leverage as much as possible,
Yeah.
then
And on
it's great.
a
Yeah.
newer piece of code that we wrote recently, all the tests are driven by the keyboard. So, like, we have playwright tests, and they
Oh, right.
basically
Okay.
look
Yeah.
for the accessibility features to drive the tests, which is really cool.
Yeah, that is really good. Yeah.
Yeah,
Nice. That's
yeah.
actually, yeah, that's cool. Yeah. Something we should keep in our back pocket as an idea. Yeah.
I figured we could start with something really simple like this,
Right.
and we reload and it seems to work. And let's just say that this is my title. Why didn't it change? Because this is a def, of course. Hmm? Here we go.
Yeah, you need to
Yes.
unset that file. Yeah.
So, we want to send in uh, name and label.
Hmm.
And I think I also want to have an ID in here.
Right. Yes.
So,
I know we're gonna. This is a small interruption. Yeah.
yep.
Um, but number one, I think like to me, I would say it should be like make text input because the type is text, and we're gonna.
We're gonna get to that, I'm
All
hoping.
right.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. The other thing I
Um,
was gonna say to you,
yeah.
which is a sort of closurey thing, is having name as a key is
Yes.
kind of annoying because it's also a function, a core function, and I don't know. I always feel a little bit like it's not exactly dangerous to do that, but it feels like it is a little. You're heading into a little bit of a danger zone
Yep. Because
because
of the
you can,
shadowing, right?
yeah, and you can just end up with things looking like it's all good because it mistakes this keyword name for the function name, and you can get yourself into a hell of a state. Basically, it's
Yep.
hard to debug. So, how do you feel about like changing name to something else?
Uh, I sort of agree, but then on the other hand, it sort of maps nicely here. It feels weird to um, choose, like, it is the name that you're setting on the input field, so it feels weird to choose something else because you might, well, you will end up shadowing. So what I do normally in situations like this is that I give you the right to tell me I told you so when this breaks.
Yeah, I mean, I think another answer to that, which is maybe smarter, is to rename the key so that instead of having because you can have like a key's name, but you can just say like input name, and you can rename name to input name on in this destructuring form.
Yeah, I'm not so worried about it. Yes, because I want to have it like I
That's
want
good. I
what
like it on the input like this because it's a keyword, so you're
yeah,
never going to have a problem there. But
yeah,
but the problem is on line 12.
yeah. Yes, so we how can we rename inside here? No.
No, you have to say. So you can take it outside of the keys, and then you can just say input name name. So inside of the curlies still,
Yeah.
you can still use keys for ID and label, so that's okay.
Shit, you know this stuff. You've written this destructure thingamajigger, right?
Yeah. So now go outside of the. No, no, stay there. Go outside of the vector,
Okay. Yeah.
and then you go something like input name, and then you go name. Yeah.
And look, now name became orange.
Right.
And then we want to have type. Ah, oh, this, let's see if this works then. Does that work?
It should work. Yeah.
See. Uh,
Unable to resolve title in this context. What's that?
that's just bullshit.
Ah, okay.
Yep, input type text. Very nice. Today I learned, as they say on the internet.
Yeah, I think this is sort of like yeah. So I think we got the balance there. I think because I agree with you that it's sort of horrible to not have the right keyword name.
Yep.
Yeah, this is looking nice.
Yeah. This is probably the most destructuring magic that I think I might have ever done.
There we go. We'll do a lot
Yeah.
more in future episodes. Don't worry.
So, let's do this, evaluate, and seems to be still working. Now, the reason why I put the ID in here is that we want to have this to be uh, label for ID,
Hmm.
and the value of that should be label. And then we remove this. And now the problem that we had previously was that now we're
Returning
trying to
two
return two
things. Yeah,
things.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So let's and if we now go ahead and say blah 2, it comes out as blah 2, and we
Very
should
nice.
be able to show page source here. And this is yeah, so it's a little bit small, but trust me, it says label for title blah 2, and yeah, so this is good.
Yeah, that's really good. Yeah, that's nice. Yeah.
So now We can say make input ID, what's this, email, and we should have name email, and this is actually of type email, and that would have been cool.
Yeah, but you're overwriting it in the second case, aren't you? On line 37.
Line, yeah, yeah, yeah. There we go. And then, oh,
So we've still got title blah 2, and that's nice.
yeah, we'll fix that in a
Yeah, no
sec.
worries. Yeah.
So this is token, token, go away with that. Yeah. You see what happened? Because we now have an email.
I see it. Yes, it says
Yes.
I'll use this one or hide my email. Yeah, nice.
So,
Well, this is starting to look good. I mean, obviously I don't know if we had this discussion last week, but the fact that you're using the ID and the name as the same thing by default sort of strikes me as a, you know,
yeah.
slight chance of like, redundancy here.
But is it so? Because we could say,
Or ID input name, I think you mean.
yeah, yeah, because of course, we should never have done that. Um, that's nicer.
Yeah, yeah.
What I want to do now is I want to go to main test, and we obviously don't test for that. Let's see, do we have other places where we have yay, look at this. This should be so now we can have uniform ugliness.
I love that.
And
Love
this
that for
should
us.
be
Yeah.
hey,
I love that for us.
like that, and
By the way, I mean, I know you probably are going to hate me for saying this, but um, don't you think that like name and type should just be keywords and we just stringify them?
I think type could be keywords, but not. I don't think the name should be keyword.
Okay. Let's go with
I
the
don't.
type then. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have I don't have a good idea for why, but
I'm not prepared to die on the hill, but I just have this like I don't know, just sort of like a visceral reaction when I see strings in Clojure. I always want to convert them to keywords.
Like that.
I think it's name actually. That's where we want to use name. In fact,
Eh? No,
input
but it's
type
the
is a
type.
keyword.
The type is a keyword, right?
Yeah, so we use
Ah,
name to get
yeah,
its
yeah.
name. So callback. This is why we want name and not input name.
Ooh.
I didn't do that deliberately, actually, but it's kind of working out very nice.
Yeah, because this is like nicer, and then you can probably do more elaborate stuff here to make this look nice.
Yeah, sure. But I
Yeah,
think this is already quite good. Yeah.
yeah.
One thing, by the way, is that you make it a list. Is there a reason why you make it a list and not just like wrap it in a vector? Why you put syntax there?
So that's why.
Ooh, ooh. What? So it doesn't like vectors. It only likes lists.
No, because it starts to interpret this as hiccup.
Ah, okay. That makes sense. Yeah. Okay, cool.
Yep. So now we know.
Yeah, well, till, as they say on the internet.
Yes. So today's learning,
Yeah.
there's a couple of learnings. Well, actually, yeah. So the learning that we had here is that if you want to return multiple hiccup elements from a thing, from a function, then use a
Yeah.
list.
Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing that uh, oh, let's make that as well. Let's make that as well.
You didn't finish your sentence there. You just went into Eric mode.
Yeah, but the thing is that it would have been nice to just been able to do use make input for this file thing as well.
Yeah.
And then we're going to learn the second thing that we didn't know.
Okay.
Yeah. So his name file and the type is file, right?
Right.
And then that's interesting.
It's all going to go horribly wrong, I'm thinking.
No, I was actually expecting it to look, oops, that was totally wrong. I wanted to view page source again. Because if you look here, now we have, I don't know if you can see that, but we have an empty label here.
Right. Okay.
So we only want to do like that.
But the problem with that is you'll get a nil.
Which was the second thing that we learned about hiccup.
Second thing you learned about hiccup, and now I'm
Yes.
remembering. Yeah. We don't have to do all the condarrowing. That's what it was. Yeah.
Yes. So now we have a perfect little input type file all on its own.
Mm,
And
mm.
so the second thing we learned about Hiccup is that it just doesn't care about nil elements or nil values in
Right.
lists.
It just drops them. Yeah, which is
Yes.
nice. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was the two learnings of Hiccup.
Hmm. Nice.
Yeah. And I guess, ooh, that's also a little bit annoying, right? Because we could now go ahead and do the submit thing, but then we would have to have the value as well.
Hmm.
What do you think about that?
Isn't that another when case or not?
It's more inside here because we can have the ID, but yeah, let's try it.
Maybe that is a Condaro case then, because that's pretty simple, isn't it?
Let's see. So value load type submit. Because if we do this now, then that one goes to submit, right?
Right, right, right. Yeah.
Um, this is
Do you
where
remember the
this,
Condaro thing? I think that was something.
yeah.
So you
So
just do
then we should
Condaro.
actually go ahead and do like that.
What?
So we take this one,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And when we have input name,
Ah, yeah, yeah. Then we
we
assoc that on. Yeah,
assoc name input name.
yeah.
And when we have a value, we assoc value.
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah.
And now, sorry.
What is going on here?
It's just Emacs being very,
Oh,
there we're
okay.
back to.
Yeah.
And then we have,
I guess it's name sign up, is it?
nope,
Oh, was that a mistake then?
yep.
All right. Okay. Who knew?
Oh, it shouldn't even be reset. Should be here.
Right. Yes.
And that's it.
Nice. All right.
Yeah. So it's late.
Yeah.
Let's have an argument. I think we
Oh
can take
god.
this.
Oh god. Oh god. Oh god. Okay,
Yeah.
go on then. Yeah.
So you think our database, I'll just throw it out here, and you think our database implementation is crap?
Well, I would say that we're making headaches for ourselves because I would say that usually when you want to differentiate between like user A and user B, you'd usually use a key lookup. You know, you'd use some sort of associative. You know, databases are sort of like key values for a reason, and we're using sequences, and so that seems like. I mean, obviously, that's more of a relational technology, you know, to have like that kind of stuff, to have those things. But Actually, when you work it out, if you, I mean, I worked for a relational database company at one point, and
Which one?
for Ingress, a very
Ingress.
old database.
We used Ingress at university.
Yeah. I'm sure.
So
Yeah.
don't call that an old database.
Well, okay, we're both giving our age away here. Then I was a full adult when you were working on that program when you were using it at university. So God damn it.
Yep.
But a lot of them, a lot of them are actually implemented in terms of key values, and then mostly in terms of just files. And there's a lot of complexity in relational technology, but obviously the underlying things they have to in the end revolve around like indexes and all these kind of things, which is sort of in the end what you end up doing with key value stores until you get to this point where you need a relational database, because you can always put the thing we're looking at, like with maps and stuff like that, you can usually do like brute force searches over maps, or
Yep.
you can then put a side index on the database to make that quicker. So there's all kinds of tricks to do that, but it's never quick to scan the entire vector. That's but it's not even about speed, to be honest, because if it was all about speed, then we could have an argument. Whereas to me,
Yep.
the fact that we don't use an associative data structure is just making an issue for ourselves in terms of programming mostly.
Yep.
So, are we having an argument, or are we just like agreeing? God damn it.
I think no. I think I'm putting up my somewhat, the shrug emoji.
Okay, I know the
Yeah.
shrug emoji. Yeah.
Yes. But I'll be happy to what's my English is failing me now, but I'll be happy to indulge.
Okay.
Yeah. But I think we'll do that next time.
Yes.
Yes. What's kind of interesting about that is, though, that this is our database.
Yes.
So it shouldn't be impossible to do this without too much changes over here.
Yeah, I think that's right. I mean, I think the nice thing about when we started this back in the day was that we said we'd try and access the database via an API rather than via the implementation. And I think that will make our sort of rewrite, as you call it, more feasible. Yeah, it would be
Yeah.
simpler. Yeah, obviously
like-
we haven't got that much code, but still, if we can minimize our disruption, it would be great.
Yeah. I guess the you sort of don't necessarily like this one, right?
Well,
But it's
it's sort of like again, it's sort of. I mean, that's a perfect example of where you have to go to the end of the vector, and then you're incrementing something. I mean, I get that it's an atomic action, but it still seems. It seems like, and we don't have to. I mean, I get it that right now it's fine because we've only got one user, so it's fine. It's
Yep.
okay.
yeah, and well, we got almost 13 episodes.
Yeah, exactly. And I obviously, as you get more and more inputs to this system, this is definitely going to end up choking. We're going to end up choking on this one. And I accept that we shouldn't optimize for performance, but this is brain dead. I'm sorry. And I feel like we should not be brain dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
But
say
I
you
guess-
shouldn't. You say you shouldn't go to bed in an argument, so it's nice that you're indulging me. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's this is not a problem, I think. But it's what's kind of sort of maybe halfway interesting, I guess, is that if we want to add something to the database,
Yeah.
um, we need to know under which key um, to store it, right?
Hmm.
So we have this. Here you could argue that the key could be like what is. So we need to figure out the keying function. The like what is the key for the content
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
that
Uh,
we also can use to retrieve it, right?
yes. Yes.
Because well, yeah, we it could be the hash of the video uploaded, or like there's a bunch of ways. For the users, it's probably easier because you can key them on the email, perhaps.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I think it's always tricky to define. I think when we've had this, maybe we had this discussion out of band, but like if you have a key that is like the contents of the video file, then it's sort of annoying if that video file changes,
Hmm.
because then you have to produce a new key.
Yeah.
So then you're separating like value and identity, and so it feels to me like it should be a combination of what the user says the title is and the user ID, something like that, because then you can be consistent with the identity. But then of course they can change their title, and so it's kind of tricky to divine a natural key here.
Yeah.
So
But I
and
mean, with
obviously if you can't divine a natural key, then a synthetic one will usually do. You know.
right.
Yeah, that seems weak, but yeah, okay, yeah. The thing,
It's not.
GenSim is quite weak in the sense that it's not guaranteed to be globally unique.
No. But yeah.
It's only guaranteed to be unique within a namespace
Yeah,
or
or
within a
then I
within a
think we have
form. Yeah.
somewhere. I mean, we just generate a UID for it and we're done, right? Then you get a
Yes. Yeah. I
synthetic
think the
one.
main thing is that these kind of keys are not user visible, so they don't need to be like email and stuff like that. I mean, obviously it's a really nice natural
Mm.
key, whereas
Yeah.
these kind of like content type keys, the user doesn't really care about what the key is,
No.
as long as he can or she can look up or they can look up the information in the data.
This
Yeah.
is something that Stu Holloway is quite insistent on, is that, and I haven't quite understood why, but it is that you should never um, leak the ID of a thing out into the public. So the ID under like the primary ID under which you store a thing, you shouldn't be using that global like publicly.
Hmm. Yeah, I think that's not just a sort of Stu Holloway thing, is it? I think that's a general thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, because then you kind of I think yeah, I think the problem is that you're kind of you're putting things into the public API that you might not want to live and die by, you know.
Yeah.
So I think that's the main thing, is that it inhibits your flexibility.
Mm.
I don't know what his argument is, to be honest, but that's my
Yeah.
that's my feeling in general, is that you know it's nice when you can, like, for web pages or for other sort of things, to provide a list of things that people can pick from, and then they don't have to know anything about IDs. But if you're doing that via some kind of REST API, then again you could obfuscate the ID by sending out different IDs that are also stable. But I personally wouldn't be too strict on that. But it depends on what you're doing. It depends on who you're sharing it with, and what the relationship is and all this kind of stuff. If it's for your own user software, then I would not worry too much about that, because you've got control of all sides. But as soon as you're putting it out to like a public API or something, then yeah, maybe you wouldn't want to leak that implementation detail.
Cool. But then let's do that next time.
Yeah, I think that will be good. And then I think once we've got that in place, we can start thinking about what does content management start to look like again, because we've been doing a lot of like, okay, what's the next feature basically. So we've been doing a lot of refactoring, or as I'd like to call it, refactor baiting.
Yes, or gold plating or whatever, like doing all the stuff that our customers do not care about.
Yeah, but we haven't got any customers, so we're doing things that we care about here.
Surprising, isn't it?
Yeah, I know. It's like having 0 features and very awkward interfaces definitely puts no ability to sign up. Yeah, but okay, so yeah, I think once we get that out of the way, then the following over the summer, at some point, we'll start to make things a bit more interesting, I think.
Yeah, you need to put your product manager hat on.
Yeah, well, I've got plenty of thoughts around what we should do in terms of product implementation. So no,
because
I
feel like we're sort of somewhere around where it's like that we have something to build on, so it would be interesting to start building and see how it pans out.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think obviously we've decided, for example, that we're not going to, like, some content management systems do like upscaling and re-rendering of things and stuff like this. And we're kind of saying we don't want to do that, but that's not our business. People will do whatever rendering bits and pieces they want themselves. But what I'd like to, we've got videos right now. I'd like to have like either the ability for, I think the main thing we want next is like you and me as users. So we as users can start uploading some content, be it videos. We've got video support. This is good now. So that's proven. And there are 2 other things that I would like to have as content. One is text, so a micro-blogging type thing, and the other is photographs, so like photo albums. And I think if we get those 2 things done over the summer, it would be pretty cool.
Cool.
And then it can start to be in a sort of an attractive, what should we say, an attractive platform even, Eric, that we can get people to sign up for.
Yep. I was smirking a bit with the attractive. I think we need to do something with our CSS, but
yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Cool.
All
Shall
right.
we leave it at that?
Leave it at that. Yeah.
Yeah.